These guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording on Wednesday, August 7th, and we are going to be joined shortly by a good friend of the show, Bobby Krivitsky of SI Media Group. You know him from here, Talking C's. You know him because he does great reporting on the Celtics. You know him because he's been on the show a million times at this point. But we're going to chat with him about, to be honest, I don't even know what I'm going to title this. We talked about like everything and ranted about Oshae Brissett for 15 minutes.
Back Oshae Brissett.
I guess, yeah. Maybe we'll just have an Oshae Brissett
What's
pod.
going on with Oshae Brissett and the Celtics?
That'll probably be the title. Talked about that. Team USA, the biggest threat to the Celtics in the Eastern Conference. All that good stuff. How you doing?
Funny.
How you doing today, Sam? Yeah, we did talk about that too. I think that you are funny, but not when you hear the same jokes over and over.
You have had like the horse beaten to death, resuscitated, and then shot.
It's like you know that like story is like if you get hit in the same spot with a spoon over and over again a million times, you'll die eventually. That's me. You just beat me over the head with a spoon with Thanasis jokes, and I'm like losing my mind slowly.
I thought you were gonna say like, you know, the guy. You ever seen the video of the guy that like gets kicked in the balls and he doesn't feel it anymore because he's been kicked in the balls so many times?
No,
that's a real thing.
Well,
I'm doing good. We just did a good show with Bobby, so stick around for that. We talked about all kinds of things. We did Rat List at the end. You guys in the comments should tell Bobby to get an Xbox so he can play college football and ruin his life.
Help me bully him. Help me peer pressure him into getting Xbox. But yeah, we'll throw it over to our conversation with Bobby right now. It is my pleasure to welcome longtime friend of the show, our good friend Bobby Krivitsky of SI Media Group. Bobby, it's been a while. How are you doing?
It's been a while for a multitude of reasons, but right here in the thick of it in August, excited to get the show back. So how's everyone been? We got a lot to catch up on.
Good.
Who doesn't love August? You know how many times I've thought about our conversation when we were in the room in Vegas, Bobby, and I was like, time for bed, best time of the day every day. There is no quote that like epitomizes August quite like that one.
You know what I'll say? If college football didn't exist, imagine how much worse August would be.
Or if the video game hadn't come back.
Exactly. Because I know that's all I've been doing, and I'm pretty sure that's all Sam's been doing. Bobby, I don't know if you're a college football video game guy.
It's pretty bad.
So I do love the game. Full disclosure, like I would be so distracted, it would consume so much of my time and thought that I have just stayed away from getting the most recent video game system. So I purposely don't have it. So I'll play with friends, do all that, but I purposely don't have it at my convenience.
You have more self-control than I. I wonder, is there a way to see how many hours I've spent on the game? Is that like an Xbox settings?
There is.
All right. Where do you know where I do it?
You go to your Xbox profile, you go to your trophies, and then you click the game, and it'll tell you how many hours you have on the game.
Like my achievements?
The achievements, yeah.
Okay, achievements, and it'll tell me how many hours I have on the game. Let's see.
I think you've played at least 36 hours.
No way I played 36 hours.
It adds up. I probably have at least 3 days played.
Where does it say? Oh, stats. Oh my. I've played 4 days, 19 hours.
That reaction before the reveal let you know the over is coming through on 36 hours.
Wait, 1 sec. What is that? 4. What is 4 times 24?
4 is 80. No, it's 96.
4 times 24. 96 plus 19. So over 100 hours. Okay, yeah. Compared friends. Sam is at, let's see. I'll compare you. Yeah. Sam's at, you're 4 hours, 4 days, 6 hours. So you're right there.
It's dedicated.
All I do is grind this UMass thing. I mean, Sam, I'm in 2036 with this UMass.
Oh, that's a long time.
I mean, I'm not playing every game. Like, I'll sim for a while. Like, I'll play a couple games a season for a while when I was really bad and just focus on scouting. But anyways, Celtics. We're talking about the Celtics, not college football.
We don't even
you guys are interested in college football.
We can go Team USA first.
Do something with content.
It's true. We'll go to Team USA then, because it is Celtics. Jason Tatum, Jrue Holiday, Derek White all got some run in Team USA's win over Brazil the other day. Team USA will move on to play Serbia in the semifinals. Canada is out of the Olympics. France taking them down, thanks to a couple former Celtics there, and Gershon Yabusele and Evan Fournier doing Team USA a little bit of a favor as Jamal Murray, we can say, crumbles on the bench.
France has a guy called Fournier too. because he
His
was playing
alter
really
ego.
good, and I had the game on, and I thought like it was Fournier, and then they kept putting this other guy on the screen. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? I guess it was Fournier.
Bobby, takeaways we haven't talked to you about, so takeaways on Team USA so far, the benching situation, all the takes about Tatum, just everything going on with the Celtics / Team USA so far.
Sure. So I'll start by keeping it Celtics and talk about Tatum first. That I'm hopeful that the benching is something that he uses. Peyton Pritchard even talked about this the other day on the Point Forward with Evan Turner. I'm hopeful that he uses this as fuel and motivation, because there's always another level that you can get to. So is he a superstar? Is he one of the faces of the league? Absolutely. But apply this benching and public humiliation, if you will, moving forward as you train, as you get ready for next season, throughout next year, not just when you play Steve Kerr and you can go full Reggie Miller to Spike Lee on him, to use an old school reference, but throughout the playoffs in particular, you know, when you need to dig down and hit a deeper level, remember this moment, Jason Tatum, as you continue your ascent. You're a 26-year-old star who's just entering the peak of your powers. Let this fuel you. So for him, if it's best to let it roll off his back, so be it. But I think he can get more out of it by, even if he has to lie to himself, using it to gas himself up. And then when it comes to Drew Holiday and Derek White, they have been absolutely phenomenal and exactly what you would expect. Sue Bird the other day said on the podcast with Carmelo Anthony and Miro, formerly from Jesus and Miro, 7 a.m. in Brooklyn, that playing for Team USA in the Olympics was the most uncomfortable thing for her and really for all the other stars, because of how hard it is to adapt to less touches and minutes and shots and all that. But for Drew Holiday and Derek White, they really have the smallest adjustment to make from this Team USA men's team roster. And so it's no surprise that between their skill set and their roles in Boston all season, that they came through and have consistently excelled for this squad.
Yeah, the Tatum thing is really an interesting piece, because you're right. There are two different ways that he can handle this, and using it as motivation is what all of us here in the Northeast should be rooting for. We've hypothesized that Tatum may take a step up next season and really take his game to a new level after having the relief of finally winning that championship, the pressure seemingly gone. What's he going to do with this Team USA thing? It's a great question. I think he should have a chip on his shoulder. I don't think so far he's really gotten to play that way. He did have the game where he had a double-double, but he hasn't been somebody that people are like, damn, Steve Kerr was wrong. Like, people are like, yeah, Tatum might suck. Like, that's the discourse I see online. Now, whether or not it's fair is another thing, but people are really eager to hate on him, and this is a great opportunity for that. With that being said, when the Celtics are back, I don't think it should affect him at all. I think he's going to be motivated. He's going to be excited to be back with the team. He's going to be happy that they just won a title, and they're going to be buzzing to get out there and trying to defend it.
Listen, I feel like Tatum is not the type of guy to really, one, care about this, and two, care about anything. Like Tatum has never really been the type of guy to focus on narratives or pay attention to that. I mean, he literally gets slandered for the whole Aura thing because all he does is play basketball and hang out with this kid. Like, that's all he does, and that's fine.
Just made up
perfectly fine.
People
and
start to hold him accountable for.
It's crazy. And I was on I was on the Garden Report yesterday after the USA Brazil game, and I was talking, and everyone was like, oh, Anthony Edwards had this many points. Look at Anthony Edwards. Look at him taking over the game at the end of the game. Like, why can't Tatum do that? And I'm like, I don't think he cares enough to do that. Like, Anthony Edwards takes over the game because he, one, wants to, and two, that is what his role is in Minnesota. His role is to be Kobe. His role is to be the ball handling guy in the perimeter who does everything, because their other two stars are big men. Like Karl-Anthony Towns isn't, dribbling the ball a ton to get his shots up. He's posting up every once in a while, and he's hitting catch and shoot threes. Rudy Gobert is not an offensive player, period. So like Anthony Edwards is what runs their offense most of the time, and he gets so many of those isolation looks. That's not how Tatum, one, plays with the Celtics. Two, it's not conducive to winning in Boston. Like, playing isolation is what got Tatum like slandered for however long in his career. And so he spent the past 2-3 seasons in Boston, like, slowly being more and more passive for the betterment of the Celtics, and it led to a championship this year. And so when you see the opportunities for them to be this aggressive, give me the ball, I'm going to get a bucket at the end of Team USA games, obviously Ant is going to go for that more, because that's not the style of basketball Tatum has gotten used to playing, nor is it the one that is in his mind now, and as is proven to be true, conducive to winning, because they just won a championship, not like fully avoiding playing that brand of basketball is how the Celtics won a championship. And so for all the stuff about Tatum, being, oh my gosh, Ant's better, oh my gosh, his shooting's bad, and there's obviously the concern of why is his scoring slump gone on for as long as it has, and all of that's been masked, rightfully so, by they won the fucking championship, who cares? But it like, that's just not who he is as a player anymore, and I think that's for the betterment of him and the Celtics moving forward.
And that's where I think you see a difference in maturity between Tatum and Edwards. Like, I wonder if Ant at any point, even if it's not the immediate aftermath of the Olympics, for example, in the playoffs, if they come up short, I wonder if he looks back and says, I could have maximized my time more with Team USA if, instead of being the guy that came out and said they need to adapt to me, that I had focused more on facilitating and improving in terms of reading the court and getting my teammates involved, especially when it's so much easier playing alongside a multitude of superstars compared to Tatum, who is very secure in playing this way and is as comfortable as you're going to be sacrificing 30-point outings on an NBA floor in order to improve your team's chances of winning consistently.
Yeah, you almost think like Tatum would be less rigid in this role. Like, he hasn't looked super comfortable playing. Like, his efficiency numbers aren't there. He hasn't made a three yet. Like, he's been fine, but he's not been what we saw in the prelims. He hasn't really been the same guy that's taken the backseat with the Celtics at times this season and just been a distributor. Like, they have other guys in front of him doing what he does best, like Durant, LeBron, like being ball handler, ball dominant forwards that are setting the rest of the team up is really something they do well. And they don't really need Tatum to do that, despite that being his role with the Celtics a lot of the time when he's on the floor. Like, here, even though Tatum can sacrifice and he can take a back seat to Jalen when Jalen has it going, or whoever else it may be, he's not typically out there playing without the ball. He doesn't move without the ball. He's just not asked to do that. Jack, how many times do we talk about this, throughout the season? Like, it's not even his fault. It's like they don't run plays where he's getting set up for easy looks. It's just not what they do, whether it's because it's very difficult to do that because he's just such a focal point of the defense. He probably hasn't played basketball like this since he was in high school, in early high school, because he wasn't the best guy at the team yet. Like, he had to have been a freshman, sophomore, trying to fit in with seniors.
He was probably still the best player then.
Yeah,
like, he
I
probably
think he
never
became
played
the best
this
player
way.
at Chaminade pretty early.
He was the best player at Duke too.
Yeah, but college basketball is still much more like team based.
Yeah, but he was still the one getting most of the shots. Like, I'll bet Jason Tatum got the most shots per game on that Duke team. Let me take a look.
Anecdotally, I feel like he'd get it at the wing off the catch a lot. I feel like that was how he got a lot of his touches at Duke.
At Duke, Tatum took 12.6 shots per game. The only one who got more was Luke Kennard, ironically. And that's because
he was older. Luke Kennard.
Yeah, he was older, and he was he was an older, and he was getting like the catch and shoot threes. Like, they were just looking for him that way. But the point is, like, Tatum has never had to play in a role where he is like, I mean, even if you want to use that as the example, and we're going to say Luke Kennard was legitimately the first option, like, he was at the very least the second option on that team, and on this Team USA team, he's what, seventh? Like, he's just not being used that way. And I said this at the very start of the Team USA run. I think Tatum should have been there, LeBron off the bench. I think they should have given him the ball, let him run some of that offense, let him do the same thing where he's driving and making plays for other, because he's clearly capable of that. Obviously not at LeBron's level, because no one's at LeBron's level, but having a guy who is that big and capable of making plays for other would be useful. And they're just not using him that way. They're using him as an off-ball cutter. They're using him as a rebounder. They're using him as a defender. And that's really where his role starts and ends. And it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Like, it's not the end of the world, but that's kind of what they've pigeonholed Tatum into being. Meanwhile, we can talk about them too. Derek White and Drew Holiday have just been these incredible glue pieces that should probably have. I wrote about this for Hardwood Houdini. I said Derek White should have an open invite to be on Team USA for as long as he wants, because he is like, you couldn't create a better fit for Team USA in a lab if you were Grant Hill.
Yeah, 4 years from now, that's probably the last ride for Derek White if he wants to do this and it all works out. But certainly right now, he is an ideal fit for this team. you need role players. You're not just putting this together and then simulating it in a video game, and it's not an all-star game either. So to have these guys, and here's where it gets really interesting going up against Serbia now in particular, because they've already faced them twice this summer. And so in terms of what bears out between, does that familiarity mean more to Serbia or Team USA, we'll find out. But also on a superstar squad like the US has, that is selfless and plenty willing to sacrifice, I would think the more they play together, the better it's going to continue to look. Because really right now, by and large, they're just winning with talent. It's
PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become a part of the PrizePicks community today. With PrizePicks, you could turn $10 into $1,000 while watching Team USA rack up the gold medals this summer. You can make a PrizePicks lineup of players across basketball, soccer, tennis, golf, and more in as little as 60 seconds. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and you're locked in. PrizePicks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Sam and I use PrizePicks all throughout the NBA playoffs as the Celtics were making their run. If you guys tuned into the pregame show, you saw it. We like Drew Holiday blocks. We always picked Jason Tatum to get a dunk. That was a lock for us. And we always picked less on the opposing stars' points. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code CLNS on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
It's not particularly cohesive, in my opinion, even though they are all willing to sacrifice and play team ball. So to me, I think that starts to catch up in terms of it looking smoother the more this goes. And so getting off to a great start against Brazil is nice. There's more of a challenge coming up against Serbia and Jokic. So I'm curious to see how it looks. And then that familiarity that both sides have with each other, I'm curious to see who that benefits more, while understanding that the talent gap favors the U.S.
I mean, should be a competitive game. I know the first one wasn't quite that, but going back to Derek White and Drew Holiday, Jack and I have had this conversation so many times this summer. These two guys just spent the entire season getting ready to play these roles. They took on the shapeshifter role with the Celtics and we're just ready for everything. Whether it was, Derek White, you have to take over and score 38 in a playoff game, or Drew Holiday has a 20-plus point game in the finals, or it's like, okay, like Drew Holiday averaged like 11 points per game this season. He was still efficient, but he worked hard, played defense, and just did all of the dirty work while picking up baskets every now and then. The way that they played with the Celtics primed them to fit right in with Team USA. And it's probably a big part of why they're a part of this team, why they were selected. Like Holiday was picked like first. Everybody knew it was going to be him back in October. Jack had hypothesized that Derek White would join him. And at the time it was like, well, do we really think like he's going to outs like James Harden or Chris Paul? Like I was certain Chris Paul would be on this team for the Banana Boat Gang, but it turns out he was a great alternate. Every single game with Team USA, it feels like he's playing more and more. He's doing more and more when he's on the floor, and he's just earning more trust from Steve Kerr every time he puts on the uniform. So those two guys are perfect fits with any team. They're so diverse in their skill set, any coach would want them.
It's just so easy to play them with whatever lineup you want to play them with. Bobby, what is the percentage that you would put on Team USA not getting a gold medal in the Olympics?
I mean, even 20% feels like it's way too far. They're just so much more talented that it's
I'd say 10.
Yeah, I was going to say it's around like 7%, 10%, even 10% feels a little bit generous to the field. And so, it would just be shocking. I do think there's a little bit, at least for me personally, just a smidge of disappointment that when this roster came together, and it was right after they didn't medal at FIBA in September, and you hear LeBron is recruiting all these stars, and you just start thinking about the names and you start to visualize what it could be, to see how it's actually transpired on the court. It's been, they're winning these games convincingly. It hasn't quite been as cohesive as I would have hoped for.
Sam, what's your percentage? 10% as well. Around the same.
They're winning. Canada just lost. They're winning.
I'm trying
I
to
will
see-
say I watched the Canada game, and I watched the end of the Australia game too, which was excellent. The Serbia game. Wemby makes a difference.
Wemby's really
They have no interest in going the paint when Wemby is in there. I mean, Jamal Murray had a couple buckets, like if he just took someone off a dribble against any other center, and he just pulled back a couple times. It was like, damn, like him and Shea are just terrified to go inside. So Wemby is a wild card in all of this, but if Team USA doesn't win the gold in this, I don't know what to tell you. This is the unfortunate situation that USA basketball probably will always be in for at least the next 4 Olympics. Until
You know
the
what would make
rest
it
of the
more
world
fun?
really catches up? What would make it more fun?
No All-Stars allowed.
Yeah, but that'd be for everybody.
No, he's saying just the
Just
US.
for US.
Just the
No
US?
All-Stars for the US. Would they still win?
It makes it a hell of a lot spicier.
No All-Stars this year. So like if you were an All-Star in the past, but not this year, you're allowed on the team.
I like that
So-
idea. I think they're
They would
done
probably
toying
still
around
win.
with it, but I think that would be fun.
You would get a very
Me too.
similar result to what you saw when like they didn't medal and you had Brandon Ingram there and they didn't really like use him and he didn't fit and he
Let me
wasn't
see.
willing to
So-
bend.
It would have to be like, oh God, now that I'm actually looking at this.
I mean, you could still put Derek White there and Drew.
Derek White.
Derek
White could be
Drew.
on the team. Drew could be on the team. Bam. Did Bam make the All-Star team this year?
I'm
think
pretty
he
sure he
did.
did.
2024 NBA All-Stars. Interesting. Okay, let me see. Okay, Bam did make the team. Okay. Harden could be on the team if he'd want to be.
I'd rather
Try
him
and get
not.
like a lot of young guys.
I
Like,
hope that
what they would
Grant Hill
probably
would
do
pick
is go
someone
with
else
the
instead.
amateurs.
See, I guess it just does get whittled down because you couldn't even have like Jalen or Kyrie. Kyrie wasn't an All-Star this year, right?
Kyrie
was
could
not.
be on the U.S. team in this
He
scenario.
could be. Yep. Kyrie
You
could
could have
be on it.
Maxey. Oh
It'd
no,
have to be
Maxey
like
made the
Maxey was an
All-Star
All-Star,
Yeah.
right? So like Paul George made the All-Star game. It would have
Trae
to be
Young.
like Trae Young could be there. Jalen Williams could be there.
It gets kind of fun when you start picking through like the rotational bigs.
Exactly. Chet.
Hartenstein could be a guy. Chet.
Yeah.
Hardenstein would presumably go Germany.
Really?
Yeah, he's
He
not
from there?
Yeah, he was born there, I think. Let me
You
check.
could go,
Who
you
do
know,
you think
you
he
could
would be
pick
on the
Jared
German team?
Allen,
It's not like
maybe
they got
Evan Mobley
infinite
reaches
guys.
a point where you want him.
Well, Hardenstein could probably choose because he was born in Oregon.
Yeah,
but
he could
he's
do either
German.
one. I mean, look, Embiid's playing for the U.S.
Yeah, they can figure it out. Yeah, it'd get real interesting then. Like Aaron Gordon, Brandon Ingram, Jalen
Zion?
Suggs, Zion, maybe. Oh, Zion was in. Is he an All-Star?
I don't think so. No, he didn't make
No, he
it.
wasn't. He wasn't. Trey
Allen
Young
made
was
the
an All-Star,
All-Star
by the way,
team
though.
this year.
Trey was
Right,
an
Trae
All-Star, by
Young
the way,
was a
so he couldn't do
replacement.
it. Him and Scotty. Yeah, it gets real weird after that. Obviously, they'd never do that. They're just gonna send their
You'd
best
have
guys. But
Two
But
Celtics
it could
guys.
even make the 3-on-3 tournament more exciting, which is fun to watch, by the way.
well, the issue with 3-and-3 is there's like regulations. Like you have
Well,
to
so
compete
does that
in X
change
amount of
basically?
events.
If the U.S. is putting a quote-unquote less dominant team, does FIBA make it less restrictive and therefore
Nah.
easier? You don't think they would change it at
I
all?
don't think so. Well, because you have to play in X amount of 3-on-3 events. I don't think it's like to balance it.
You don't think they'd adjust the requirements?
No, I feel like the reasoning is because they want people who actually care about 3v3 basketball.
Well, I think it's because they want other countries to win and to promote the game internationally.
Did you see Mike James tweet like, "Hey, I'll play 3-on-3. Give me the call."
Yeah.
That was fun. Anyways, what other Celtics stuff have we not talked to you about quite yet? They brought back all their guys. This is probably the most. Is this the most boring offseason the Celtics have had in the last 20 years?
And on top of it, it happened so quickly for the most part. It was that first week
Yep.
right after
Bang,
the
bang,
parade,
bang.
and it was bam, Derek White extension, Tatum extension on the same day. Even with something as jarring as they're selling the franchise, that has been really quiet. What that means, and is Steve Paliuka in a position to gain a majority stake? Is that what that signals? Who
Not if
knows?
he's got investments in this market. All I'm doing is getting notifications about how I'm losing money. It's awful.
Sammy Stocks is in trouble.
Yeah, me and my fucking penny stocks that I just am trying to learn. I'm just getting notifications. It's like stock whatever is down 5% to this. It's like, come on, man, give me a fucking break.
You got to put some of those Vegas winnings towards a penny stock that hits.
I lost in Vegas. Then I lost that money when I went to Greece and I had to start paying for stuff. It was brutal.
Disaster.
Sam would turn around on these turns where we would go to the casino quickly and be like, I just lost a shocking amount of money to me in just how fast it happened.
Yeah, the last night I got cleaned. I lost all my hands on blackjack and then I played roulette with Bobby Manning. And I mean, I think we went back and forth like win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. And we eventually lost. It was awful. I was up too. I had recovered from a poor start on this trip. And then all of a sudden I was up. I robbed the casino this weekend, though. Don't worry about it.
Let's go.
Respect.
Crisp Romeo Langford from them.
Yeah, we all had a rough last night. I still left with a profit, but that last night we all took a bath.
It was horrible. Even Noah got
tough.
it bad.
She is addicted to gambling. If we had stayed there like the entire time, like her, I think she would have lost so much more money. Bro, just she's like, I can't leave now. I'm down. I gotta win it back.
Yeah, you're talking about chasing the
my
dragon.
degenerate friends. I gotta get even.
It's like me when I miss a 2-point conversion. I'm like, I need it back this next time. I can't stop kicking the 2-pointer.
The math says you're gonna get one.
Man. But yeah, Celtics brought back all their guys. It's the exact same team. Plus Shireman and Watson minus McKinley and Brissett. Do you think Brissett comes back? That's such a weird situation. He's like, oh, the door's open. I want something else. Like, I don't think he's gonna get more playing time anywhere else.
He's not. And I also wonder if ultimately his pride gets in the way. If this plays out where there's not another opportunity that he's interested in, and even if he feels like, hey, the best choice is to come back, I'm just throwing it out there without a lean. Does he ultimately decide, oh, I just don't like the optics around this now, and I want to go somewhere else, and I know the role's not going to be great in Boston? Or does he say, hey, I got to go up against, to use his words, Hall of Famers last year, and it was the best season of my career for reasons beyond winning a championship, and he ultimately signs up for that experience once again? It'll be interesting to see, because I do feel like this is going to continue to take time before he finds a home. And it might just be that ultimately the teams that make sense for him go in another direction, and his best bet is to return to Boston.
If you're the Nets, you don't take him. You don't just see what you have. I mean, in his minutes with the Celtics last year, like, he wasn't bad. He did have, like, I think it was game 2 against the Pacers. Like, he came in and made an impact. Like, he's not a bad player. I'm surprised that teams aren't, like, willing to take a swing at him, especially, like, if you're a team, like, you feel like you might be one move away and you're like, he's not the move, but he can be somebody you bring in that just won a title and, like, has a little bit of experience with, like, culture and, like, what goes into the work that it takes to get there.
The problem with that, and this is like metagaming, the line of thinking, but I almost feel like the way the Celtics won a championship makes teams not want to take Oshae Brissett, because the way the Celtics won a championship
by having him on the team.
No, is by having 5 guys who can shoot the ball and play great defense, and then a bunch of role players who can do the same. Brissett's not really great at either of those two things. He's a fine defender, but he's not like so good that it makes up for his shooting, which is non-existent, as much as you guys like to joke. Like, it's never coming around. It's not going, it didn't even come close to coming around. Like, he's a great rebounder. He's a fine hustle guy. He's a nice energy player. But like, if I'm a team in the NBA, I'm spending my final roster spots taking a chance on guys who can either play elite defense or are great at shooting the basketball. And he doesn't really do either of those things. And I get you have to have needs for other players, like a great playmaker, like a Tyus Jones, or a, elite rebounder, like an Isaiah Hartenstein. But like, he doesn't fit either of those molds either. And he's a great rebounder, but he's not like a big man rebounder. And it goes back to my whole thing on a recent pod. Like, I think athleticism is one of the most overrated things in the NBA. Like, it comes to a certain point. And so, like, if you're a team looking to take a chance on a 14th or 15th guy, I'd rather take it on a guy who has an elite skill. And Oshae Brissett just kind of doesn't really have that for as great of a player in person and all this stuff that he is.
As soon as Jack started shaking his head like this while Sam was finishing, I knew my fellow Syracuse brethren, was about to get murked. And then when it comes to it, just keep in mind that he's in his athletic prime still. And he does play the most coveted position in the league, you could argue, as a wing. He's got defensive versatility. He can switch onto centers and keep them off the glass, which is really valuable. And who knows, there's certain people who have a lot of clips floating out there of that shot consistently cashing in during pregame. So if you talk yourself into the development and maybe you have a Chip England caliber shooting coach that you can get him in the lab with, then maybe you decide to bank on upside. And maybe he's not a shutdown defender, but you're not really asking him to be that as a guy who comes off the bench and is a part of a second unit. So I think there's plenty of teams.
But then
where Brissett
what are you asking him to be? What is his role on a team in a rotation?
Defense, energy, rebounding, points off cutting and crashing. And really, you have to look at the shot as gravy. Anything you get there is a bonus.
Like if you're Chicago, you're not trying.
But
it
works. No, not on Oshae Brissett.
If you're the Nets, you won't take them to just see if you can get anything.
I tweeted to GFOP, good friend of the program, RJ, about a list of teams where I could see them taking a chance and signing Brissett. So I'll try to pull that up in a second.
All right, pull it up.
It's just Gametime is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. I remember my dad taking me to Fenway Park as a kid, getting to watch David Ortiz and Dustin Pedroia sitting in the Green Monster and taking in all there is to love about the iconic ballpark. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Taking a look at my Gametime app right now, I see plenty of great deals to watch my favorite sports teams and my favorite tickets to Noah Khan. You guys know that's my favorite artist. I even used it while in Las Vegas for Summer League to get tickets to a women's basketball game. Some of my favorite features in the Gametime app include letting me see what the price is going to be with fees included. It makes so much easier to take a look and see what the actual price I'm going to pay is. Also, you get to see exactly where you are sitting. It's a great way to know exactly the experience you're going to get. I also love the fact that you can get great last-minute deals. Save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, or anything else. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. The way you're describing him is like a Josh Hart role, and I get it, but he's just like not as good of a defender, rebounder, or anything as Josh Hart. Like it's just he's like a C tier Josh Hart, and the only reason Josh Hart is getting those minutes is because he's elite at all of those things. And there's not many Josh Harts around the league. You're talking about like Josh Hart, Aaron Gordon type, and he's just not even close to as good as those guys at any of the things that they do best.
I mean, it's not wrong. You're not wrong. It's just like you wouldn't try and see if you can get, like, if you're Utah, you wouldn't try.
If I'm Utah, I'm trying on someone younger and who is better at like
he's what, 26?
A very specific skill. Yes.
25?
26. Which is fine. But like you look at all the free agents available right now. Let me pull it up.
What about a team like the Kings that desperately needs an infusion of defense?
I guess, but Oshae Brissett just wouldn't be my first call. Like,
I mean, it's August. Nobody right now is your first call.
Exactly. I just, I don't know, man. I just don't think he's gonna fit in with many of these teams. Maybe like the Kings are a good example. Maybe if you're the Kings, you take a flyer, you get some extra forward depth, and that's it. But like, what are we talking? Like 15 minutes, like 10 minutes a game, and that's fine.
That's way more than he got.
More than Boston for sure. It's just, I don't know, man. You can have very few non-shooters in a truly elite rotation nowadays, and Oshae Brissett is that. And so you got to really believe in his other skills. And I think he's a good defender. I think he's a really good rebounder, but he's just not like S tier, top tier in either of those things to make you say like, you know what, it's worth it. And I hope he lands somewhere. I like Oshae Brissett a lot. He's a great dude, and I do think he's a great rebounder and a fun player to watch. It's just like, it's tough to sell yourself when when he's that much of a non-factor on the offensive end.
Well, so he's got to, one, fill the need, and two, you're hoping that as he continues to reach another level of his physical prime, that he gets even better, at least at what he does best. And so we'll see, because he's going to have an NBA home next year.
The other issue, how
dare you, Mr. Simone?
The other issue with the Kings is you're already riding the line of quote unquote non-shooters, like, or I don't want to say non-shooters, but like not great shooters. Like DeMar DeRozan's not a great shooter, right? Jalen McDaniels is the Oshae Brissett. They already have one of those. They already have one of those guys on the roster. So you just get and he's a better shooter. It's just maybe it's the Kings, but if you're the Kings, like Oshae Brissett is almost like put himself in the category of role player already. Like if you're the Kings, you're trying to find guys who can pop into a starter level guy, or guys who can pop into an elite 3-and-D guy, or guys who can pop.
But that's not what you're signing for, like a veteran
elite
minimum.
3-and-D guy is
off at in August.
Yes, Sam, and that's what they're looking for. But Oshae Brissett is already not that, and he's not going to be that.
But you've got to be realistic with a veteran minimum signing in August and what the expectations are.
How many elite 3-and-D guys are there that aren't like stars?
Fine, average 3-and-D guy, because he's not going to be that either. Sam, he's not even going to be a bad 3-and-D guy because he doesn't have a 3.
That's the thing, Sam. I hate to go away from the bit, but he's not a 3-and-D signing.
He's not. But if you're the Nets, like, it does not hurt to sign Oshae.
But you would rather sign someone younger who can, like, you can take a chance on, who you can try to develop. Like,
I guess as the years go on,
I'd rather sign Killian Hayes. I'd rather sign Killian Hayes than Oshae Brissett if I'm the Nets.
That's why if the Kings didn't have McDaniels, it would have made sense.
Sure, yes. I get it from that perspective. Like if you're a contending team who already has a relatively fleshed out roster where you can afford to take a chance on a hustle guy off the bench who can provide an energy spark, I get it. But if you're a rebuilding team, you don't really have a need for that because you're not trying to win games anyways. You just need to start taking a chance on some players. Like maybe I'm like looking around the league now at this point. Like maybe if you're the Bucks, you want another hustle guy who can muck stuff up, give you a spark. Maybe if you're like Dallas, because you lost Derek Jones, if you're not 100% in on Najee Marshall, you're bringing another rebound. Like those are the types of guys. But if you're a rebuilding team, like there's no need to try to find that type of player. Like unless you want it for the vibes. Like I'll give you that. Like Oshae Brissett is absolutely a vibes guy. He's a good locker room presence. So if you want to bring that in, you're confident he can give you that bang. There you go. But it sounds like he really wants to play, and feel like there's a lot of limited opportunities for a guy like that. Like he's basically a Derek Jones Jr., but not as good of a defender and not as good of an athlete. And he's a great athlete, but Derek Jones Jr. is like what you think of when you think of an athlete. And I hate being the negative guy because I always get shit in the comments. It's just it's tough nowadays when you're a non-shooter.
It's the situation that Brissett's in for a bunch of reasons: the shot, the age, all of it. We just flushed out. Another topic that I want to bring up to you guys is I'm curious to get your thoughts on the Celtics signing Anton Watson to a 2-way contract, because there's a lot of future planning involved there, right? Where it's, if he looks really good, what happens a year from now versus do we want to commit a future roster spot to him right now when most of this team is going to be around for multiple seasons?
I mean, I don't think if you're the Celtics, there is any reason to sign him to a big contract, because if you like him, you can just do that. That's what they did with Nemi, right? Like I remember forever ago, Jabari Bird was a guy that was playing pretty well at the end of the 18 season, and he couldn't play in the playoffs because he's on a 2-way, whatever. Like they can avoid that. That won't happen. They will never have that problem if they like a guy, because they can just sign him to a real contract. That's like why there's no harm in doing it, because if you decide you want to use that final roster spot on someone else, why would you burn it? Like, I would rather bring in a veteran guy just to like sit on your bench, maybe, if you want to use that final spot. Like,
my only thing there is
I would rather last 2-way.
It doesn't matter, but I would rather have, and I think it was smart just to save the money and keep the financial flexibility. But I think the argument against what you just said is you could have signed him to a second round exception, which would give you team control over him for 4 years. And I don't think you can do that after the first, because he's not a rookie anymore. So you can't sign him to the second round exception anymore.
So the way I look at it is I think the flexibility financially and in terms of the roster spot is what makes the most sense here. And you have to see how Watson develops. I mean, he was the 54th pick in the draft, and he's going to spend most of his time in Maine. I think this is also much different than Kada, where he had opportunities and had played in the NBA. And it's not entirely a surprise that he came out and showed you this is someone in season right now worth converting and filling a vacancy on your roster. I don't know if Watson at the NBA level is going to get a chance to show that, even if he's productive in whatever NBA minutes he gets next season. They're probably going to be in garbage time, for example. And so I look at it and say, yeah, there's a chance that Watson looks so good in the G League that a team next summer makes an offer where you ultimately lose him. But I think having flexibility is a better move, and that's an unlikely scenario that you lose him because of how good he looks with the Maine Celtics.
I agree. I'm super high on Watson. I know Sam is too. Like we've talked about a lot since Summer League. I also think you have a chance this year you just signed 3 big guys they're not all 1-year contracts, but they're effectively 1-year contracts, I'm pretty sure, because I think all of them have non-guarantees after the first year for Tillman, Kada, and Cornette. I'd have to check myself on that just to make sure I'm not talking out of my ass. So I'll go on the spot track page right now. But you have an opportunity to evaluate those guys this year, and then based on which ones you like the most, figure out from there what you want to do with Watson. And also, Horford could retire after the season. He needs a new contract at this point. Maybe he wants to come back in a minimum role, but like even if he does come back, he's gonna be 39 at that point. Like you're probably not going to get the same minutes. And who knows how Watson develops, but he looks like the type of guy. Like I read an article for Hardwood Houdini. They're starting Horford auditions. Like waving right in the face. Tillman, Anton Watson are Horford type players. They're seeing, okay, who can be the next sort of Horford? And even if they can be like half of what Horford is as a player, that's a damn good rotation piece in the NBA. And so I think if you see enough out of Watson in the G League and in limited minutes at the NBA level, you can say, okay, do we like Cornette or Kada better? We'll keep one of the athletic guys. And maybe you keep Tillman and Watson if Horford retires. And you can have 2 sort of Horfords, have them battle out for the role. And then starting next year, when you have slightly more roster flexibility again, then you can get him on that, similar contract to what these guys have signed. Like Bobby mentioned, though, you do run the risk of another team swooping in and say, hey, we really like this guy. We're going to give him an offer too. And I think that would have been the benefit of the second round exception. And for what it's worth, like we always say, not my money. I get it from the perspective of building,
money.
True. Well, it is for now, but
it is
I get it from the perspective of team building, tax purposes. Like even if you do like him, keep him on a 2-way now, then convert him later to save the money. And you don't want to be screwed in trades even more than you already are, even though I don't even know if that's possible because they're already in the second apron. But I wouldn't pay it if they had him on full contract this year. It's just maybe take a year, look at it. Like you mentioned, he was a 54th pick, but I'm super high on Watson as a long-term big.
He's really good, like sense of the game, makes the right play, makes the right cut, always in the right spot on the offensive glass, makes good passes, plays good defense. Like he does all of the role player guy things, even if it's at a summer league level. You can see the vision. You can see why they picked him at 54. If you go back and you look at the highlights of him in summer league, it's very minute, low usage stuff that you can take and apply to a role with the Celtics. And I think October through December is going to be a big stretch for him. Like Porzingis will not be playing. You're going to see more minutes for Horford, who is probably not going to play back-to-backs once again. So that means you're going to have Luke Cornette, you're going to have Tillman, you're going to have Nemi. There could be games where some of those guys are out, and there's a little window for him to get in and play with the big team. And if that happens, it wouldn't be shocking if he went out there and fit in. The real question will be the offense. Is he able to make shots under the pressure of the NBA? Is his shot too slow? I know, Jack, you think his mechanics are a bit slow. Is he able to finish at the rim? I mean, he was guarding Jaime Jaquez Jr., who was a playoff starter for the Heat this year. Like, he wasn't playing bums. That Heat Summer League team was a good team. Did they win the whole thing?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
they won the whole thing.
The best team.
And Watson stuffed them, stayed with him on the drive, and pinned his shot. And look, I've written a lot about him from the time they drafted him through the offseason. I talked to DJ McClay to just keep it to Summer League. And what he brought up is his most obvious NBA skill is his defensive versatility, and that he can guard, whether it's the drive or in the low post, without fouling. There were times to bring up that Heat game where he held his ground and stonewalled Khalil Ware, 15th pick in the draft, 7-footer, and he couldn't move him. He's not drawing a foul, and he couldn't score on him. So that defensive versatility, that looks like it's going to translate. It was a huge part of why not only he got drafted, but why Gonzaga went 130-19 with him there. Like, that's ridiculous. Winner. And he was a key part of that. Like, he has a bunch of program records there at Gonzaga, both overall and just in the NCAA tournament, helped them reach a national championship in 2021. So this is a really good player. The cutting is his other NBA skill. And unlike someone else who we were talking about earlier, he finishes really well around the rim. And I do believe in the shot. I'm with Jack that it's a little bit slow from beyond the arc, but I spoke to him at Summer League and he was like, I want to get more aggressive coming off of that Miami Heat game where there were times, as he would do in college, he passed up a shot. And usually he still ends up making a productive play out of that. But he told me, he was like, I want to get more aggressive offensively. That's a goal of mine moving forward. And he did that. There was times where he led them in shot attempts, and you could see the confidence building as he started to get more aggressive. So I'm really excited to see what an older, more mature player who turns 24 in, I believe, October, what he does this season.
October birthdays are cool.
Not as cool as March birthdays, right, Jack?
That's what I'm saying. Shout out, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, Sam, do you know me, Bobby, and Bobby are each 5 days apart for our birthday?
So. We should just throw one epic dash.
You're the 20th, right, Bobby?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, 20, 25, 30 for Bobby Manning. Yeah. Great couple weeks right there. You've got a great couple weeks.
March is one of the best months. We also have Tatum.
March is this month. We do have Tatum. And I think Pritchard too. I think Pritchard is March as well. Some are saying it's just
Jalen is October. A couple days before me.
It can finish as a good second month.
October's cool.
Just naming birthdays.
Yeah, it's still fine. Bobby, do you know an NBA player that shares your birthday?
I'm pretty sure that Bobby Orr shares my birthday.
Ooh. I
do not know an NBA player. At least can't think of it off top.
I know a common Ratless player shares my birthday. Mr. Kyle Lowry shares my birthday.
Immediately I knew Ratless meant defensive pest and some shenanigans.
Yep. Only one current NBA player shares your birthday, Bobby, and it's Jamal Cain. So
let's go.
Sam, when's your birthday? October what?
28th.
Let's see.
Joaquin Phoenix.
You've got Charles Bassey, Trevion Graham, and Jay Sean Tate.
All right.
So you're welcome.
Also have former Olympian Caitlyn Jenner. Same birthday.
Let's see. I know I got Lowry. I wonder if there's anybody else. I got Lowry, Tyler. Wow. Kyle Lowry and TJ McConnell having the same birthday is some special stuff. It's a great day.
Lenny Wilkins has my birthday.
Oh, that's a great one.
That's a good one.
The kid from Modern Family has my birthday. Luke.
What else? What else were we going to talk about? Oh, we can talk about this briefly before we do Ratless and other stuff. We haven't chatted since the Knicks traded for Mikal Bridges. Sixers signed Paul George / traded for Paul George or whatever they did exactly. I think it was just a signing, not a sign and trade. A lot of stuff around the league. I want to start with just the top one. Who is the biggest threat to the Celtics in the Eastern Conference?
I think it's the Knicks. I think they match up better with them than the Sixers. And there are significant concerns when it comes to Embiid's age and ability to stay healthy. And Paul George, similar deal. Both have concerns about their playoff reputation. So I understand the construct and how clean it is to go a guard in Maxey, a wing in George, a big in Joel. But I look at the Knicks, and to have wing defenders like Anunoby and Bridges, like, did they quote unquote overpay to get Mikal? For sure. But that fit plus the vibes, and those can matter. And I think they do in the case of the Knicks, as we saw a year ago. That's a really good team. Plus the hope that Bridges being the number one in Brooklyn, that now going to a role where less is asked of him offensively alongside Brunson, that he benefits from his experience with the Nets.
Nothing better. Just from experience, when you don't have to do everything on offense. It's so nice. Jack, tell me about how, like, you'll go to a Sunday run and you just have like a team of nobody, like you got no help and you have to do everything. And then you play with a couple good people, and how refreshing that can be. It feels good. So he's going to have that. It's a good point for Bobby. For me, it's the Knicks. The Sixers will forever be a joke. It's so funny that you asked this question, because I just came from basketball. I was talking to somebody about this, and they were like, what do you think? And I was like, well, I think the Knicks are built to beat the Celtics. Like, they have wing defenders. They overall are a good defensive team. Like, many weak points. Like, you can point at Brunson, but like, he's still like, he's strong. He's not like your typical undersized guard that you feel like you can pick on. Like, no, he's still 6'2". He's very muscular. Like, he uses his body on offense. He can stay in front of guys on defense. They'll miss Hartenstein, I think. Hartenstein was a big piece of their success in the playoffs. He was their best fourth quarter offense. But, having the mentality they have under Tibbs, I think they'll be a tough out. Doesn't mean I think the Celtics will lose to them, but they're probably going to be the second best team in the East. We'll see what happens with Philly. See if Cleveland hangs around this year now that there's less questions about Mitchell and more questions about Garland and what they're going to do with him. We haven't heard anything come out of that camp for a while. The last we heard, it was like they have to split him up. That's what they want, meaning Donovan Mitchell wants. So we'll see what happens with that. Am I forgetting anybody? Miami's probably not dead.
You talk Orlando, who added KCP.
What did
Orlando.
You said New York, Philly. You said Milwaukee, right?
Did not say Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. People forget about. I was going to say that.
We had a conversation before the playoffs, and I think we forgot Milwaukee too.
I mean, they're definitely top 4.
I think top 4 is. I think Milwaukee. I don't want to say better than the Knicks, but I think if they're not on par with the Knicks, they're right behind the Knicks. I think people underestimate the Bucks at this point, which is, I get it. I completely get it. But Giannis is still a top 3 player in the world. For as bad as Dame is on defense, he's still a big shot maker. I think Chris Middleton, you never know about the health, but like having Giannis gives you a chance in whatever year you want. And they still have a solid roster. I get it, but like Gary Trent was a good signing. That's another
if they're healthy in the playoffs.
Vince, like if Giannis is healthy in the playoffs, they're a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference, right? And that's a big.
If Embiid's healthy in the playoffs,
they're
who
still
would you
not.
have more confidence in if they're both healthy? I'd say the Bucks.
Tell me, who would you rather play in the playoffs if you're the Celtics?
Embiid is never healthy. He's never healthy in the playoffs.
Exactly.
But I'll give you a hypothetical where they're both healthy. They get matched up in a 7-game series, or look at it from a Celtics lens. They draw either one. Both of those potential competitors are healthy. The Bucks are going to give them a harder time. They just
I mean, it's the Sixers. The Sixers
exactly.
Never beat the
So then why'd you bring it up as a comparison? It's the Sixers.
If you didn't folded the Celtics, quickly, then it would be different. Like if you're like the Celtics are playing this team. Well, if they're playing the Sixers, they're going to beat the Sixers.
You brought this up. You made the comparison. This is
you brought it up and then abandoned it. You said I'm on this island and then moved.
No, the reason I brought it up is because we've now seen 2 playoff runs in a row where Giannis has gotten hurt. Like it's slowly creeping towards the pattern, and he's getting older. Dame is a year older, and he's coming off injuries. Now, Doc Rivers let the entire world know that Dame told him he was out of shape last year. But Chris Middleton is a year older. Brooke Lopez is a year older, and coming off a summer where they're like, hey, maybe we'll trade you. Now I
never really bought into that.
I thought they might.
With Middleton, I think the biggest concern is the health and the arthritis in the ankles.
It's always the health with the Bucks
if we're talking about arthritis on a pro athlete, I don't know what to tell you.
I still think it's you can't count them out. I still think they're the 3rd best team in the Eastern Conference.
Sure. I just always forget them because
with that core 4, the Bucks have championship potential. It doesn't mean they're going to get there, let alone win it. But you can't just discard them, even in a conversation of biggest threats.
It's still Giannis is hurt.
Still Giannis.
Yeah, I don't know how they overcome that one.
You know what? That's a good point.
Who was it that was telling me about like a former member of the Bucks was talking about how important Thanasis is?
Jeff Teague.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. With the championship that
it was all good
when he wasn't there was a difference in Giannis.
Yeah, it was good points. I mean, it is just like, I mean, you think about the way Giannis got into the league and he was raised and came up, like you get it. Like, but
it's just funny to think about. Unlike Thanasis.
Well, yeah, but he got in with his family around him and they did it together, all this stuff.
I'm joking.
I know, but if I don't nip it in the butt, I have no other reaction to it. It's just I can only react by giving my thoughts.
Laugh,
it's just
fucking prick.
I don't think it's funny, prick.
Right,
but I get in trouble when I say that, so I don't say it. But then you put me in the position to say it. Fuck you. We had a comment the other day.
The other Antetokounmpos, they should trot them out there.
We had a comment the other day that said, feels like Sam can't even make jokes around Jack anymore. Maybe I just don't think he's that funny anymore. Huh?
No,
5 years of this shit.
How dare you? Sam is hilarious.
We had a comment. I'm like,
I made Bobby laugh in Vegas so hard.
Sam always makes it. It's one of the hardest I've ever laughed in anything. I hosted a national radio show for years. One of the hardest I've ever laughed on air, any platform, is this when Sam brought up the SpongeBob meme We're talking about Charles Lee. Why would he want to go to the Hornets?
You know what? Yes, that is the difference. You know what? If I was hearing the Thanasis jokes, my mic went down 1 sec. If I was hearing the Thanasis jokes for the first time too, I would also laugh. But you can only hear it so many times before you can't. I can't laugh at it for the 130th time. I love you, and it is a funny bit. But when you hear the same bit for 5 years, it's not a bit.
This is funny. Getting you worked up is fun.
For all the amazing things that happened the night the Celtics won the championship, including that accomplishment, I think Jack's favorite was getting Sam to tap out and be like, "It was a bit. It was a bit."
Oh, what with the jerseys?
Yeah.
Well, I still think they should wear the jerseys in the right places, but it was in fact a bit. I mean, it bothers me, but I mean,
and I get it. I don't actually care about the jerseys that much, but it's just for the commenters who always pick on me. Like, guys, you're hearing the jokes for the first time.
That was a weird comment. I saw it too. I was like, I don't even know what this means.
Come on, man. All right, let's do some ratless stuff. Let's complain about stuff since we're already devolving. I think we have Oliver's ratless stuff. I wonder. I'm getting ready. I'm gonna scroll through and try to find the one for Bobby. That's Tyler. There's Keith's.
I remember my very first appearance.
No.
I brought up the guys who play defense in pickup games with their arms out like this. I can't stand that.
I don't have one for Bobby yet.
I had the dudes that play football defense. I was at basketball today. They had a football defense guy out there.
Like Henry.
It's like, what are you doing? And you know who else is like a rat list? That's such a great point, Bobby, because you just sparked like a bunch of shit that I saw today. The run was so busy. So like you can only play 4-on-4 at this gym because the gym's small. So you don't have room for 5.
That sucks.
There must have been 20 people there. So you're waiting 3 or 4 games. But as you're waiting, you just got people fucking complaining like during the games, like crying, foul, no foul, challenging each other's calls. The amount of foul calling I saw today was like a record. I've never seen.
Oh, is this Health Tracks?
At Health Tracks, yeah.
I once played a pickup game where a guy he played like James Harden. It was insane. It was like, you're not going to the free throw line. I don't understand.
I have a friend that does that. I have a friend that'll pump fake and then jump into you and call the foul.
Who?
You don't know them.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Tyler. I'm like, oh
no. He does love to call. I've seen that kid get in arguments with people over foul calls, and I'm like, dude, just shut the fuck up and play.
Yeah, no need for a foul call. No need. I had something good and I can't. Oh, it was. We talked about it off air or maybe on air. But when you're playing college football and your guys running around, you throw a great pass, but they just run into a defender and you don't get a DPI call. What are we doing? Like, give me a break. I had 3 and outs because of that.
All of Jack's
you should be able to control it to where like you really try to sell the call.
I know. I can't do anything about it. I've got plenty of golf ratless. I haven't golfed in a couple weeks actually. So
I'd love to hear a golf ratless actually.
I gotta think of one on the spot.
Every time Jack does a golf
ratless,
it sparks like a curb like reference from me.
I have an anti-rat list actually. So I played in a 4-man, excuse me, a 4-man scramble with Danny and then our friend's dad and then one of his work buddies. He just needed 2 when we were in Easton, so he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna come play." And on 18, I guess this is kind of a rat list. They had it was like a tournament, like a charity tournament. They had like a long drive contest on 18, and I was 10 yards short of the long drive. Like I was so close. But then the anti-rat list is our friend, like our mutual friend whose dad we played with, like texted me after. She was like, my dad was telling me you hit a monster drive today. I'm like, you know what? I'm glad it made an impact. I'm glad people are talking about it because it was a damn good shot. It was the best shot I've hit all summer.
One, that's sick. Two, it's probably the first ratless flex.
Oh, we do anti-rat. We do some anti-rat list. Anti-rat list is acceptable because this is just kind of turned into us talking about non-basketball stuff. You have what?
I think I had an anti-rat list this weekend that I was like flexed.
Maybe. Maybe. Forget.
I don't remember. I just bitched about like Six Flags. So Bobby, you missed this, and this is the last time I'll tell it for a while on the show. But I was in line with Kaylin, and she wanted to go on like the pirate ship ride. It isn't at Six Flags, but the one that swings. So they have that at Six Flags, but it's gigantic and it borderline goes upside down. And I had no interest in going on it, but she wanted to go. And the line must have been like 45 minutes. It does not look that long. I contend that I could have got on this ride if there was no line, if I wasn't sitting there thinking about getting on the ride. But as we waited in the line, I started to get a headache. Like, that's how stressed out I was getting. I was stressing myself out. Then it started to rain. Greatest rainstorm of all time.
That's
I
God
was like
coming through for
clutched.
you.
I was like, this is a real shame. Like, have to get on the line. It was lovely.
You're the karma points to cash that in, that God came through.
Need it. I don't know if I have any other rattlers. Bobby, you have any rattlers? What, you got anything to complain about?
I'll put myself on the rat list because I've been getting pretty shitty sleep. I've been
Really?
Yeah,
like,
I haven't been sleeping either.
Yeah,
Good
it's one thing to go out on the weekends. It's another thing when just for no reason other than like being irresponsible to be up too late. So I'll put myself on there.
I don't know if I've ever told this story on the show. I think I've told Jack this story before. But when I was working at the news station, I was working like 4 a.m. to 1 p.m. So I was always tired. Like, very easy for me to go to sleep at night. Like, I mean, it still is. Like, I sleep very easily, throw on YouTube, knock out in like 10 minutes. It's like clock. I mean, Bobby, you saw it happen in real time where you like went to like brush your teeth and you came out and you were like, yeah, Big Ken said something outrageous. You didn't laugh, so I just shut your laptop off. But I was like, yeah, it's like super easy to sleep. And this girl who looks similar to me, which will make sense in a second, just turns and she goes, well, of course it's easy for you to sleep. You're a straight white male. I was like, I didn't even know what to say. And I always have something to say. I was like, what do I say to that? I was like, I mean, yeah, I sleep pretty good.
I mean, the other day I was trying to sleep and I got like, it was early night for me. I finished all my work. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go to sleep. It was like 12:15, right? And that's early for me. Did not fall asleep till 4:40 a.m. I couldn't. Like, I sat there lying in bed watching YouTube, rolling over, trying to sleep, turned off the YouTube. I just could not sleep. And I haven't gone to bed before like 4 in the past.
There was
however
one day,
long, not by effort. Like, I can't.
I loaded my Xbox up. Must have been like 9 a.m. And it was like your account. And it was like 4 hours ago. I was like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
You know what that was? That was, I tried
college football.
I got in bed I remember this day. I got in bed at like 1 a.m. Couldn't sleep. I said, fuck this. I'm not sleeping anyway. So I got on college football at 4 because I couldn't sleep for 3 hours. And then I fell asleep like 6. Like, I can't sleep. You know what? Another rattler. So I went out this weekend on Saturday night with some friends. Went to Cleary's in Back Bay. It was great. It was the most drunk I've been in a while without getting sick. Like, I was like good. It was like the perfect. I found it. Like, I found it. And we got back and they have college football, so we were just playing in my drunken state. Like, and I am of the level where I'm like, am I on offense or defense? Right? Like, I'm not sure what's going on. I made 2 people rage quit. Like, I cooked, so I made them rage quit. But then, so this is the apartment I'm moving into in less than a month now, and
cannot wait.
Yeah, I'm pumped, but I'm sleeping on the couches, obviously, because this is their house. And they said if you beat one of us, you can sleep on the small couch. 2 of us, you sleep on the medium couch. If you beat 3 of the 4 of us, you can sleep on the big couch. This was, by the time we got home, none of us were sober enough to like enforce those rules. But I ended up just sitting down when we got back on the smallest couch, and so that's where I fell asleep. And so my buddy at like 8 a.m. got up and found me in this state, and I have a picture. He took a picture of me and goes, this just cannot be comfortable. And so this was me at 8 a.m. after we'll call it a fun night. I was just fucking legs all the way off the couch, like just pillow over. Like,
Jackson end up on Wiki Feet now. You're gonna like Google yourself. They're gonna have pictures of your feet up there.
I'm not
with the
that
pillow
famous.
over the face.
Well, yeah, I moved this so I could have more space on the couch. But yeah,
trying to suffocate himself. He was like, it's August. The highlight of my day is going to sleep.
Yeah, I had a friend who, I had a bunch of college buddies come to visit a couple weekends ago. And I told one of them, I was like, listen, like, there's not a couch your size. He's pretty tall. He's like 6'4". And I was like, there's just not a couch here where you lying out is going to be comfortable. I'd recommend like bring a sleeping bag. But if you want the couch, it's yours. And he was like, I take the couch. I think I'll be fine. And it was the same type of deal where it's just legs draped way over. And it's like, you chose this.
It's tough. That's what you got to do. You do what you got to do.
He said he slept well. So he must have been intoxicated enough.
Probably straight white male. That's why.
He is not.
You do, man. You do what you do.
He's
I don't got
straight,
any
but
other rat
he's
lists.
not white.
I don't got any other rat lists. You guys got any other rat lists?
Yeah, dude, my cat is sick. I cannot sleep, go somewhere and come back without going downstairs with just fucking vomit on the floor. I cleaned vomit this morning when I woke up in 3 different spots. He threw up. I mean, he threw up on the pod the other day, but he threw up over here today. And I put the paper towel in front of him, and then he just stopped. Like, I put out the thing. I was like, go ahead, do it. He was like, no, fuck off. I'm going to do it when you're not paying attention.
Is he sick or like what's going on?
Pretty sure he's just like eating bad. He has like a stomach bug. He needs to go to the vet. My mom said she's taking him tomorrow.
By
Also,
the way,
worst time for both of my parents to be away ever. The cat's sick. He's just fucking acting up.
You ready for this? At my parents' house, there is 4 raccoons going around. They come on the back deck. They go on the roof, and 2 of them that are younger, it's like WrestleMania. They like one of them I watched body slam against the side of the house. Like it's captivating. Like I literally don't, when I'm there and I see it happening, they come out at night. I don't leave until they do. I want the whole show.
So raccoons.
Yeah. It's
Do they look
4 raccoons? Like you'll see them, like you'll hear them on the roof, for example, and then it's like one comes down, and then there's just 3 behind it, and then 2 of them they just immediately at all times. I've seen them wrestle. I've probably seen them have like 3 pay-per-views.
Okay. Now with raccoons, I'm curious to see what you guys have to say about this because I had a discussion with the lady about this weekend, and she disagreed with me. Do they look? Whether or not you have knowledge that this is not true, do they look like you want to like squeeze them or like pat them?
I think raccoons are cute. Yeah.
Yeah. She was like, no. I was like, what do you mean? Like when I was younger, my parents would put out like I think cereal, and they'd come up on the back porch and eat it.
They're cute.
And they're cute. She was like, that's some white people shit. I was like, well, yeah, but like overall, like there's nothing wrong with looking at them. Like if
Dude, look at this.
Yeah, they are cute.
They're also supposed to be very smart.
Here's a little raccoon.
Vicious.
Hold up. Look at this baby raccoon. Look at this little guy. Come on. Right?
Yeah, they look like.
Well, maybe not this picture. This picture's not great, but look at it. He's just hanging out. It's kind of cute. We don't have to show this one. This one's
yeah, that one's not helping the cause.
You know what?
They are cute.
Random tangent. You know what? Worst animal on the planet? Geese. Exterminate them. Geese don't have to exist. Geese are worse, but turkeys are also bad. Birds in general are kind of.
I can't believe that guy near me has the chicken statue in his front yard. I was terrified when I turned the corner. I thought he had a turkey in his front yard. It was like I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get chased down. When you're running, those things are terrifying.
In line with your cat rat list, I'll rat list a pet as well. Made myself a nice egg and cheese the other day, bacon, egg, and cheese, cooked it all up. But the entire time I'm having to like move it back and forth because Duke is going from counter to counter, like ready to pounce. Left it in the wrong spot.
Oh, no.
Went over to make took 2 steps to the other side of the kitchen to get my coffee. I hear took a piece of bread right off the top.
You do immediately.
Just snatched. I snatched. I whip my head around like, you motherfucker. And he's like chomping it down as he's trying to get. I was like, God fucking damn it.
I remember when you couldn't come on the pod because Duke wreaked havoc in your kitchen.
Oh, that was an awful day.
That was the worst.
I thought about that.
I was so mad. That was the most mad I've ever been at him. And rightfully so, I think, because that was ridiculous. That was horrible. Ugh.
If I came home to that, I don't know what I would do. Because I hate when like I have a plan in my head and it does not happen.
And I had to go right back out like an hour later. Like
that was a game day. It's awful.
What a mess.
Rat list. So at the movies, they have. Oh my God! John Smyers just replied to your tweet with college football. He's played 251 hours. He has played 10 and a half days of college football.
That's an All-American.
College football has not been out for a month. This is all he's been doing.
It came out while we were in Vegas.
I love that. That's insane.
But Ratless, so we were at the movies, and they have the Oreo popcorn. The Oreo popcorn comes pre-scooped, like it's in one size. It's like the size of an extra large like drink. Like that's what the size is. They have in the like little container or like showcase, whatever it is, like where they keep it so you can see it. They have one, and then they have like a third of one. Perfect for the lady. She never finishes anything. And they're like, that's all we have. So we're like, okay, like, how do you want to do this? And the guy was like, oh, I don't really know what to do. Like, I can't charge you for the answer is just give us the fucking thing. Like, charge us for one, because the other one isn't full. Fortunately, they found more, and they topped it off. But he was like trying to find like how to charge us half. He must have been brand new.
That's some stingy nonsense.
I mean, you don't get paid enough to care.
I think it's because the movie theaters are
$15?
struggling in general. It's like they need every penny.
It's true. You think the movies are dying?
Not dying, but
no. I like.
She asked me this last night.
I
like movies. I like going alone,
but I haven't been in a long
I've actually
time.
Never done
I can't
that.
say. I've never done it either, but I'll go see a movie. I enjoy.
Well, they had COVID, then they had this writer's strike, so they just haven't been making as many movies.
See, my issue is it's tough for me to like sit down and watch a movie as it is. I'm just not a movie guy. So it's just like I'll always enjoy it when I do go, but I it's tough for me to go out of the way to go do it.
Oh, and there's just I feel like there's a lot of times where there's not a movie that draws me to go.
Exactly.
Although I did recently see Twister, and that was actually
I've heard it's good.
It's a good movie, and there's also like a little bit of a you can laugh at this film to it. So it's got both elements. It is a good movie overall.
Tossed around by the Twister who's laughing.
They have it in 4D in places which is wild.
They have it in Randolph.
I have watched more TV lately other than just YouTube. I recently watched Criminal Minds Evolution. The second season came out. Love that. So good. Criminal Minds top 3 show ever. I love Criminal Minds.
My mom started watching Law and Order. She's like watching Law and Order. There's like 18 seasons of this. I'm like, isn't that just like perpetually on? Like it's gonna live forever.
Yeah, probably. I'm rewatching FBI right now. I love.
You ever watch Dexter?
It's great.
Yeah, Dexter really good.
Dexter's great.
Right.
Well, they made
now the prequel.
Prequel, but yeah,
they made the sequel. Now they're making the prequel.
I need to rewatch all of Dexter. See, my issue is I have a hard time jumping back in if I stop watching something for a while, so I have to just rewatch it all because I don't remember where I left off. But I also don't like rewatching stuff, so I'm bad at watching TV shows. That's why I just watch YouTube.
That's the thing with I haven't started the new season of House of Dragon, and the further it gets, the more I don't know.
You were excited about that in Vegas.
What?
You were excited about that in Vegas. You're like,
well, I was going to watch it on the plane ride home.
Yeah,
it coincided with the Celtics Summer League game, but the further it gets, I don't know if that little here's what happened last season before the first episode, that might not be enough.
Sam, have you seen Game of Thrones?
No,
I haven't either.
Top 5 show.
Never watched.
Blacklist, top 5 show. That's up. That's always my go-to of like, what's your favorite show? I'm like, that one's up there.
I don't know what I tell people my favorite. Probably Seinfeld.
Yeah. Curb. No.
Curb too.
Curb won your TV bracket.
Did it?
You forced me to pick it to win the bracket.
I had them both there.
Exactly. That was not my bracket anymore.
Me and Sam have a very similar list because it's Seinfeld. You haven't seen Thrones, but then Breaking Bad and The Wire are both in my top 5 as well, and The Sopranos.
John Smyers tweeted back at us, "This game isn't a break from my life. Life is a break from this game."
That would be me, by the way. That's why.
It's so worth it.
It's been us.
So, Bobby, if you get it, we could do an online dynasty with us 3.
No, you don't ruin Bobby's life like that.
I might just. The thing is, if this was the start of the off season, then I'd probably do it. I'll still consider it and might.
Well, it's about to be a dead.
This is like the off season. Because the start of the off season, you would be like, oh, there's the draft, there's free agency, summer league.
Exactly. September might be the month for you to get it, Bobby.
We'll see.
Bobby's
I want to
lose his job because of you.
All right. Let's wrap it there. We've been going for a while. We can cut it. We'll bring back talking season in the near future as well. I think we got to, but
yeah, it's not dead. It's just
Bobby, obviously you guys can follow him at Bobby Krivitsky on Twitter. Check out his work at si.com/NBA/Celtics. I believe I got that right. Thanks for coming on, Bobby. We appreciate you very much. Stream's coming back soon.
Always a pleasure. Can't wait to reboot Talking Seas.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you very much, as always, to Bobby for joining us again. You can follow him at Bobby Krivitsky on Twitter. It was on the screen. If you're watching on YouTube, check out his work at si.com/NBA/Celtics. Always does a great job there. We appreciate him very much. But yeah, that's going to be it for us. Appreciate you all for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll let Sam take it out.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening and watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell. You don't want to miss any of our daily uploads. Even though it's August, we are still pumping out the content. 5 a.m., something new for you on the channel every single day. Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, we have full pods like these. The morning after games during the season, we have game recaps. And then we have other videos in between to keep you up to date with anything that may be happening, even though there's been nothing. You can also find us on Spotify and Apple. All of our podcasts and game recaps will be there. If you follow us, they go right to your feed. You can leave a 5-star review. We'd appreciate that very, very much. It helps us out on those platforms. You can also email us, hbtcpod@gmail.com. The video the other day, we did a mailbag. We always get to your emails, usually on full pods, but when we have guests, we'll probably just make mailbag videos on the side. Makes it easier for us, makes it easier for the show. It's just much better. But hbtcpod@gmail.com with all your thoughts. Socials are at How About Them C's for Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Facebook's the name of the pod. Streams are there. They're on YouTube. They're on Twitter. Jack's Twitter's at Jack's Money NBA. Mine is at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's it for us.
Tic-tac-toe.